Everyone wants to make money from fighting. Even if they're not fighting for money, they still like the idea of having money within their bank. I think everyone does. But what happens when it's all said and done and you don't have enough to live for the rest of your life? And really, you kind of need to know that in the later stages of your career of what you're actually going to do. Now, if you want to stay within the sport, here are some ideas of what you can do or what you can prepare for on the back end of your career. Now, number one, we're going to go with promoting. Now, this is running your own show. You can start doing this whilst you are still doing MMA. You don't even have to have fought MMA before, but promoting will allow you to create shows, and ideally you want to be making money from them. You'll want to start off slow and small, do little white collar shows and slowly get up to doing bigger level shows. But that's one little career path you could start to go down if you wanted to stay within the sport and give amateurs opportunities. And once you get your show big enough, you can get onto Fight Pass and start going from there. So that's one little option. Next one, being a manager. If you want to be a manager for MMA, whilst you are fighting, you need to get all these contacts and make all these connections. If you're fighting and you don't really make much conversation at events with potential matchmakers for the future, you're never going to have their phone numbers. I don't have my phone with me, but you're not going to have their phone numbers in your phone. That means if you want to be a manager, you're not actually going to have the contacts to get people fights. And it's not only for fights, you need to be making connections with businesses as well, because that's what a manager does. They get sponsors for their fighters. That means if you want to be a manager in the future, or you think it's a possible opportunity or career path you could go down, you need to start making connections. And a manager does not have to have any MMA fights under their belt. They've just got to have the connections for fights, I believe, have the connections for sponsors, know about business, know what to put the money in, and be good at negotiating, which is sales. Another option. Now, I believe you have to have fights for this one, and that is being a coach. You can coach kids, you could coach adults, you could coach an MMA team. That is totally up to you. I even do that now, but that is another career path you can go down to start making some money. Next one, it is being a gym owner. Now, you don't have to fight to own a gym, because really, owning the gym is the business part. Just because you own the gym doesn't mean you have to coach at that gym. Now, I don't know the owners of ATT, American Top Team, but I know they don't coach at that gym. It's a platform where pro fighters go and respective coaches go to train their fighters, and it makes their gym even bigger. But they've set up a great business plan and they are getting money from that, even though they don't coach at the gym. So to be a gym owner, you don't have to coach, and technically you don't even have to fight. You just have to have a bit of money to invest and know the ins and outs of making sure the business is running smoothly and, most importantly, profitable for yourself, so you can pay yourself a wage. Now, the last one I've got is creating some sort of brand with equipment or clothing. I would do this personally on the come up of an MMA fighter, because you'll build your own personal brand, but that could be from boxing gloves, it could be MMA gloves, it could be shin pads, it could be elbow pads, and not only that, you can start doing your clothes as well. You could either go the personal brand if you're actually a fighter and you've got quite a big social media following, or you could go with doing it as a brand that's going to be there even when you're gone. For example, I'm just going to say Random One Twins. That's a brand, not particularly MMA, but that is a brand that sells millions and millions of boxing gloves. So you could try and build a similar brand to that. But there are a few little ideas for career opportunities within MMA. I believe the coach is really the only one that you need to have fights for. Being a promoter, being a manager, being a gym owner and selling equipment, technically you don't actually need to have a fight under your belt. But being a coach, I defo would have fights under my belt to do that as a career path. But they're just some possibilities, because realistically quite a lot of fighters, they don't actually have a wage after they finish fighting. I know a lot of UFC fighters that work for minimum wage now once they've retired, just because they didn't set themselves up for the future. Either they didn't put their money into the right businesses, or they just didn't make enough money in their career, but they spent their whole life trying to get up to that point and it just didn't quite work out for them. So here are some career opportunities that you can do alongside, or you can do once your career is over. That's how we do things around here, because we're built different, and I'll see you in the next one. Bish, bash, bosh, pow!